Manx Radio's update with Lewis Foster.
Well, first am I, good evening and welcome along to Update on Tuesday the 29th of October. It's 5 o'clock and time for your half-hour look at the latest news on and from the Isle of Man. And well, a significant day in the House of Keys. Chief Minister Alfred Cannan survived a vote of no confidence. We'll bring you the highlights from today's debate. Meanwhile, one MHK says he wants a review of the amount of money being put towards tackling climate change. And we hear about the barriers women face when trying to get involved in Manx football. As ever, we'll keep you posted on anything to watch out for travel-wise, and your thoughts always welcome on any of tonight's stories. Text 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. But first of all, Dave Moore has the headlines for us. Fast am I, Dave?
Fast am I. Chief Minister Alfred Cannan has survived a motion of no confidence. Put forward by Arbury, Castletown and Maloo MHK Tim Glover, it was defeated with 6 votes in favour and 18 against. He, along with Claire Christian, Julie Edge, Joni Farragher, Laurie Hooper and Chris Thomas were those who voted for the motion. Public Health Isle of Man is urging anyone who suspects they have measles to phone ahead before they seek medical advice. The highly contagious disease is currently spreading across areas of England. The Treasury Minister Alex Allinson says tomorrow's UK budget may widen the comparisons between Britain and the Isle of Man, but should not have any direct impact for island residents. It comes following a written question from Douglas North MHK John Wannenberg, who asked what measures have been considered and put in place to take advantage of potential increases in inheritance, capital gains and pension taxes. Police say the man accused of murdering 3 girls in Southport is now facing separate terror charges. Police say the poison ricin and an Al-Qaeda training manual were found in Axel Rue de Cabana's home. The 18-year-old is due in court tomorrow. The UK Prime Minister says Israel's ban on the main aid agency in Gaza is deeply concerning. New laws classify the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency, which supports millions of people, as a terrorist group. And rescuers in Argentina are working through debris after a 10-storey building collapsed in the city of Villa Gesell. Officials say between 7 and 9 people were inside at the time. Those are the Update News headlines. The next bulletin is at 6.
More Dixon, keeping you on top of the news and on top of the numbers. Call More Dixon on 66 2020.
Gromyed. Thank you, Dave Moore there. Now the weather brought to you by Manx Glass and Glazing. Largely cloudy and mainly dry this evening and overnight. Light west or northwest wind and a minimum temperature of 9 degrees. Dry and largely cloudy tomorrow with light southwest winds and a maximum temperature of 13 degrees. Settled weather continues throughout the week with generally dry, albeit cloudy conditions. Sunset tomorrow will be at 4:46. Sunrise tomorrow, 7:16 a.m.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
Many people are struggling. You can help by volunteering or making a donation to Isle of Man Food Bank, whether it be food or essential items or financial support. Please call 646 999, brought to you by Descon Office Interiors.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company. Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
Reach the Isle of Man's biggest radio audience with Manx Radio. Airtime, sponsorship and digital opportunities available. For more information on how we can help your business grow its market share, contact the friendly, experienced team on sales at manxradio.com.
For a wide range of wood-burning stoves and a complete installation service, visit The Snug in Ramsey. And we don't stop there. Kiln-dried firewood and full aftercare service, including chimney sweeps and maintenance. Call The Snug in Ramsey.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
And the time now approaching 5:05. If you haven't heard already, Chief Minister Alfred Cannan has survived a vote of no confidence in the House of Keys. The motion, which was brought forward by Arbury, Castletown and Maloo MHK Tim Glover, was defeated by 18 votes to 6. Manx Radio's John Moss has been in the chamber today and joins me in the studio now. So, Fasamai, John, how did it all unfold today?
Well, just reflecting that 18-6 compares with a 14-8 vote that got Alf the job in 2021. When I had a quick word with Tim Glover as he went into the Keys chamber this morning, he had confessed to feeling sick. And it has to be said that what he was attempting to do after just 3 years as an MHK was to overturn the establishment in political terms. He started off with, "It brings me no pleasure that someone has to do this and someone has to have the courage to bring this forward." He went on, "I haven't sought a seconder," he admitted. "We must all seize the moment to be brave." In the event, Chris Thomas seconded the motion. Mr Glover used a now familiar phrase. The Chief Minister, he said, has the my way or no way approach. And one of the qualities of a Chief Minister is to bring people with them, he said. He pointed out there were now 5 former ministers sitting in the chamber. He quoted former MHK Peter Carron's phrase, one-party state rather than a democracy. There was an occasional cry of rubbish as he spoke from the audience, well, the audience being the other MHKs. Time for a reset, he said, a culture change at the top. Rob Callister spoke, former short-lived health minister, referred to being humiliated, he and his family. "I have longed for the opportunity to remove the Chief Minister," he confessed. He became the first to question why Mr Glover's motion was not a binding motion. A member after member rose, Jane Poole Wilson, who we see as having the qualities to be perhaps a future Chief Minister, said if the motion passed, she would resign. John Wannenberg said everyone who voted for the motion accepted responsibility for what followed, but he added if the motion fails, Mr Cannan should redouble efforts to overcome problems. He was going to vote against. Mr Wannenberg was going to vote against it. But Andrew Smith said it reminded him of a coup d'etat. "We don't live under a dictatorship," he added. Mr Ashford referred to the form of the motion not binding if passed, and he quoted a constituent. He said, "We'd be absolutely balmy to change." He said the real poison chalice in Manx politics is being Chief Minister. Voter after voter and MHK after MHK got to their feet, and all the time you got the feeling that it wasn't a question of whether he was going to win. He was going to win it. It was a question of the size of victory, and a third voted against, but 18 voted for. So has that given Alf Cannan a vote to actually say, yes, carry on doing as you're doing, or was he listening closely enough to this debate, and it was a lengthy debate, and picking up things from it, picking up ways perhaps he might change his attitude, change the way he does things. But you have to remember, he's got a military background. If he sees a problem, he tends to go straight through it. He also is firm, if I can use that word, with one or two of his ministers. Will he change? I don't think it's likely. Let me just tell you who voted against it. Claire Christian, Julie Edge, Joni Farragher, Tim Glover, Laurie Hooper and Chris Thomas. Those 6 were the 6 who voted against, 18 votes for.
So that's how the vote turned out. And we did hear from Chief Minister Alfred Cannan shortly before the motion was put to a vote. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I want to thank honourable members for reflections that in the main have had relevance and foresight. I wish to thank Mrs Christian and Mrs Edge for coming to see me, and indeed to those honourable members who have offered advice to me by phone and in person. My door is and always will be open whilst I continue to serve. I particularly want to thank my councillor ministers whose support today has been humbling. Many honourable members have reflected on the times in which we are living. They are both hard and also transitional, and I cannot but recognise and understand the frustrations of our society at present. I have no doubt that political service can at times mean foregoing your own personal political preferences, and I thank those honourable members serving in government who frequently have to wrestle with their conscience in the name of progress. We will not agree on everything, nor should we. As Roosevelt said, there is no effort without error and shortcoming, and of that I know I am at times guilty. Where I have fallen short, I am sorry. For the past 8 years serving as Chief Minister and Treasury Minister, I've always committed the maximum effort each day to my job, seeking always to do what is best for the people of the Isle of Man. I can assure you I will continue to serve as long as you will have me as first among equals, responsibly, humbly, but wholeheartedly for you, your constituents and our island.
Chief Minister Alfred Cannan speaking ahead of that vote earlier today. Let's move back, John, to the mover of the motion, Tim Glover, who said he knew he was in for a kicking before that vote
a bruising,
as well.
He said, as well, a kicking and a bruising.
So
His wife, incidentally, who's the commissioner, was watching proceedings with interest.
Has he come out unscathed today?
No, I think he basically came under tremendous pressure in the last week. I think he's probably had a lot of people talking to him about it, and how many actually said, yes, go for it, and others said, no, don't go for it. But he has, I think, come under pressure. Will he bring forward another binding motion in the future, coming under the Council of Ministers 1990 Act, a statutory act? Will he consider it, or will he feel that he's done his job, basically? He's brought out a problem, a lance, he used this phrase twice, a boil that needed lancing. Has he done his job? Does he feel that it's drawn attention to the problems that he saw and that perhaps those other 5 members saw? And will Mr. Cannan alter his behaviour, perhaps, more to the way that these members would like to see?
Mr. Glover saying he hopes today's the start of many serious conversations that need to be had on major policy areas and the problems facing the island. John Moss, Gurmayat, thank you. To recap, if you're just joining us, Chief Minister Alfred Cannan has survived a vote of no confidence in the House of Keys today. You can find more details on that story and the list of which MHKs voted which way over at manxradio.com. The time now 11 minutes past 5. In the spirit of questioning the direction of the Council of Ministers, one member of the House of Keys wants an urgent review of government's net zero targets and budgets and adopt what he calls a more pragmatic approach to climate change. Middle MHK Stu Peters has tabled a motion for the December Tynwald sitting with the aim of diverting some of the money currently allocated for climate change measures to strengthening the wider economy for the benefit of all residents. Well, Simon Richardson spoke to Mr. Peters about his motion and asked him if he believed he can convince Tynwald to move away from its green commitments.
I don't know. In the past, if Tynwald ever votes on these things, it's usually 31 votes for it and me voting against it. So I don't know whether it's going to get any traction at all. But the fact of the matter is, the Isle of Man can't afford to spend the amount of money that we're spending on climate change for no real return. That's the whole problem about this. If we could say, well, let's spend £100 million and we're going to reduce temperatures by 1 degree Celsius, in 50 years, then, yeah, okay, maybe there'd be a reason to do it. But nobody knows what these measures is actually going to do. Everybody just wants to get on with it and do our bit. Well, I think that the people of the Isle of Man deserve better. We've got an economy that is facing all sorts of financial challenges at the moment, and we can't afford to be wasting money on things that might make people feel better about themselves or to strut the global stage saying that we're doing our bit for climate change, because it's a complete waste of money.
When you stood for election as an MHK, this must have been a topic that was raised on the doorstep. What was your perception of what the people were telling you?
I went into it almost apologetically on the doorstep, and I said, I'd like you to vote for me, although you might disagree with my position on climate change. And I was amazed and reassured that most of the people that I spoke to agreed that, we were doing this all wrong, that there was no guaranteed return for it, that the Isle of Man's CO2 emissions are negligible on a global scale.
Now, as far as the motion's concerned that you have tabled for the December sitting, what would you realistically hope to achieve from it?
I would like more members of Tynwald to say, yeah, all right, you're not trying to convince us that climate change isn't real, because I'm not trying to convince anybody about that. But you're quite right in that we could use that money better on things like infrastructure, schools, healthcare, all those things that we don't have enough money for to do properly at the moment. Let's spend that climate change money on things that really make a difference. Let's look after the people of the Isle of Man and not Greta Thunberg.
Simon Richardson speaking to Middle MHK Stu Peters there about his motion for December's sitting of Tynwald, asking for an urgent review of government's net zero targets and budgets. You're listening to Update on Manx Radio, the time now 14 minutes past 5. From politics to sport now, nearly 70% of women believe women and girls don't get equal opportunity in football to train and play compared to men and boys. It's one of the findings from a survey on the new 4-year strategy from 2024 to 2028 for the Isle of Man Football Association, which has been published. Manx Radio sports editor Rob Pritchard has more details.
Among the other statistics, 52% of women think there are barriers to female participation, whilst 58% think female players don't have the same access as their male counterparts to kit, equipment and club volunteer support. Revealing the strategy, the association itself says it's dedicated to making football accessible and enjoyable for all, regardless of age, ability or background. Stakeholders in the local game were surveyed on numerous different aspects of Ireland football, both playing and non-playing. Among those, 64% of those who responded to the survey were of the belief that groundskeepers need greater support. Player, official and supporter conduct was another area feedback was sought on. 41% rated player and official on-field behaviour as concerning, whilst 44% were concerned about coach and supporter off-pitch behaviour. One of the FA's goals around the female game is to grow the number of players in women and girls football locally by just over 400 to 1,237 by 2028. Another going forward is to deliver more 3G pitches across the Isle of Man, although no specific numbers are being quoted at this stage. In its objectives to tackle poor behaviour, the FA is aiming to proactively educate offenders of misconduct, discrimination and aggravated cases, galvanise welfare officer workforce through education and support, as well as support and educate referees with report writing and scenario management.
Thank you, Rob Pritchard. You can find a link to the full strategy report at manxradio.com. In business news from the island today, Manx Telecom is introducing quiet shopping hours in its Strand Street store this Christmas. It says it wants to offer a more relaxed and inclusive shopping experience for customers who may find the typical environment overwhelming, particularly during the festive season. Quiet shopping hours will be held every Wednesday from 9am to 10am throughout the Christmas period, starting tomorrow, Wednesday the 30th of October. During that time, music will be turned off, lights will be dimmed, and in-store screens will be switched off. Head of Consumer Nick Callow says we understand that for some of our customers, the usual hustle and bustle of Christmas shopping can feel overwhelming. By making small but thoughtful changes to create a quieter, calmer atmosphere, we hope to make shopping a more comfortable experience for everyone. Elsewhere, nearly £100,000 is spent annually on 17 members of staff in the Department for Enterprise. The figure has been revealed as part of a Tynwald written question from Douglas North MHK John Wannenberg. Siobhan Fletcher has the details.
Mr Wannenberg asked the Enterprise Minister how many people have been responsible for communications and marketing in each of his department's agencies and his department centrally. Tim Johnston revealed his department spends £922,574 on staff directly engaged in marketing, promotion and communications across each of the executive agencies, the motorsport team and policy and strategy division. That number includes things like national insurance contributions. The written answer also reveals that that amount is spent on 17 roles. 2 staff in Finance Isle of Man, 2 in Digital Isle of Man, 2 in Business Isle of Man, 3 in Motorsport, 4 in Visit Isle of Man and 4 in Policy and Strategy. That's that Central Department for Enterprise department. He also confirmed Enterprise generates over £25 million of annual income from external sources.
Goromayed, thank you, Siobhan. The latest stock market report from Ramsey Crookall and UK and European markets turn negative as traders in the region continue to digest the latest slew of earnings reports and look to head to fresh corporate results stateside. The dollar hit 3-month highs against the yen, but was little changed on the day against most majors as traders bided their time ahead of next week's US election and a slew of incoming economic data. Well, the FTSE 100 at the close down 0.8% to 8,219. The DAX down 0.25% to 19,483. A short time ago, the Dow Jones down 0.23% to 42,289. The S&P 500 up 0.12% to 5,830, and the Nasdaq up 0.43% to 18,646. British pound sterling trading at $1.299 and 1.203 euros. Gold up 0.96% to $2,768, and a barrel of Brent down 1.18% to $70.78.
I'm running late again. Do you know where I put my car keys?
In the fridge.
Where's my phone?
Under the dog basket.
Bye.
You haven't forgotten that we're seeing Ramsay Crookall later?
Oh, no, of course not. 5 p.m, is it?
2:45.
I'll be there.
Life is busy. That's why Ramsay Crookall's team takes time to help you make a mindful investment decision, considering all the options, giving you full control of your financial future. Less stress, more assurance.
Forgot to put my shoes on.
Oh.
See how we can make your money work for you. Call 717171 or visit ramsaycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Let's head over to the roads now. In Douglas, until the 1st of December, Summer Hill is closed from its junction with the promenade to Strathallan Road, while a gas main is replaced. Diversions in place there. There are temporary lights on Somerset Road and Withington Road for patching work for a few more days too. And Victoria Road, of course, is one way between Stanley Place and Broadway in a southerly direction towards Broadway for electrical installation works. In Baldrine until Friday, temporary lights on Baldrine Hill near the junction with Clayhead Road for culvert replacement. In Laxey until the 30th of November, temporary lights on Ramsey Road at the Minorca Crossroads, 24 hours a day for drainage work there. And in Peel until Friday, temporary lights on Douglas Road near QE2 School, 24 hours a day for water main replacements. Well, no problems to report over at the airport. The next flight out on time, the 6 o'clock Loganair flight to Liverpool. No sailings to Liverpool, though. It's that time of year. Back from the Manxman is currently sailing back from Heysham, expected back here in Douglas at 6 p.m. She'll set sail across again at 7:45.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at Quayside. You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
And the time now, 21 minutes past 5. Public Health Isle of Man's urging anyone who suspects they have measles to phone ahead before they seek medical advice. The highly contagious disease is currently spreading across areas of England, as Amy Griffiths reports.
If you suspect you or a family member has measles, then you need to be assessed by a doctor. Appointments should be made through your GP or by using Meds Out of Hours service. Due to the contagious nature of the illness, patients will be seen safely away from other people to reduce the risk of infection. Measles usually starts with cold-like symptoms, a runny or blocked nose, sneezing, a cough, red, sore or watery eyes. This is followed by a non-itchy red-brown rash around 3 to 5 days later. Some people may also get small white spots in their mouth. More information is available from the nhs.uk website.
Thank you, Amy. In sport now, Manx TT competitor Conor Cummins says he's relishing the prospect of racing for Burrows Engineering/RK Racing in 2025. The Ireland Racers deal with the team was confirmed late last week, and the Ramsey Rocket says it's good to have got an agreement over the line in good time.
Very excited, very happy to get the deal done before this side of Christmas, and I'm in a real good position to move forward and train hard until the season starts in March.
You say that you're happy to get everything over the line before the Christmas period, for example. What's the benefit of that to you to get it done at this stage?
You just can't beat knowing what's in store, so everything's all laid out and ready to go, and I can just put everything to the back of my mind now and just get training hard and just be in the best possible place come the start of the race season.
What makes it, do you feel, the right fit for you at this point in your racing career?
Well, I've been chatting with John on and off for quite some time, and it never quite materialised just due to the conversation we've had. There was definite intent there, and John was very keen to have me on board, and the way the season sort of finished up for me, I was really well placed to make a call and go, right, I'm going to show John all the respect he deserves through the offer he's put to me and just commit to it, really. Myself and John go back quite some time. Whenever I raced on the Irish roads, we raced against each other, so I'm more than aware of the preparation that John puts into his bikes. It just fills me with the confidence that I know it's the right place for me. Everything all put together, and the respect I've got for John, his team and his family, it was definitely the right thing for me to be doing. So yeah, I'm just really, really chuffed to be racing for him next year.
As someone who's been a regular right towards the sharp end of the TT over however many years now, What's it going to take to help them get you to that next level?
I think it all happened quite organically, really. I think we've all got the desire to be up the sharp end. So that's one thing. I think we can help each other. We're all on the same page, really. We all want to be successful. We've got clear goals.
The Ramsey Rocket Manx TT competitor Connor Cummins speaking to Manx Radio's sports editor Rob Pritchard. The dulcet tones of Rob Pritchard there, who joins me in the studio now. Fast am I, Rob?
Fast am I, Lewis.
What's happening in sport today?
Well, plenty, in fact, and we'll start with what's coming up this evening, and it's hockey. There's 3 rearranged matches in the Mixed Premier League taking place tonight on the island. 4 top-flight games were postponed from last Saturday due to the Isle of Man senior national sides having fixtures. This evening, a double-header at the NSC, first at 7pm, a mid-table clash between Castletown Celts and Vikings B, before bottom-of-the-table Valkyries B face title challengers Vikings A. Meanwhile, at 7:30 at King William's College, second from bottom Backers B face Harlequins A, who could move up a place to third with a win. The 4th match postponed last weekend, Premier League leaders Backers A against Valkyries A in third, is yet to get a rearranged date. Well, staying with hockey, and Manx junior squads finally got their 24-25 championship campaign underway on Sunday, as the under-18 boys earned a 5-1 victory away at Preston under-18s. The Island side's opening game of the season in the England Hockey Tier 2 Under-18 Knockout Championship was the first match for the Isle of Man's youth sides this season, following previous cancellations caused by Storm Ashley. It's also the 3rd win in 4 matches over last weekend for the Isle of Man national sides, after the Isle of Man Men's A and Ladies A senior squads were victorious in their respective England Hockey Championship matches the day before. Meanwhile, it's been announced who will represent the Isle of Man at the 2025 Islands International Darts Tournament in Jersey. In total, 20 players, 13 men and 7 women, have been selected for the Manx squad for the event taking place at the Royal Hotel in St Helier on the 25th to the 26th of January next year. The tournament sees the Isle of Man, Jersey, Guernsey and Republic of Ireland faced off in a series of round-robin competitions. Well, last year's competition was held on the Isle of Man, with the host finishing second overall, only beaten by the Republic of Ireland. And you can view the Isle of Man men's and women's squads for the 2025 Islands International on our website. Finally, 2 Ireland athletes who qualified for the 2024 Ironman World Championship successfully finished this year's event. Nigel Quay and Dr. Richard Callow were part of the gruelling challenge in Kona, Hawaii on Saturday. Callow completed the challenge in 10 hours, 15 minutes and 40 seconds. Quay was in the same age band and crossed the line in 11 hours, 16 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, Gura Mayad, and thank you to Manx Radio sports editor Rob Pritchard there. That's it for Update this evening. As always, there's much more on tonight's stories at manxradio.com, where you'll also be able to listen back to this programme as a podcast shortly. Coming up next, we have that Island Life special with Chanel, and Chris Kinley's here at 6 o'clock with Greatest Hits. Update will be back at the same time tomorrow.